Alright, so let's go over the exit ticket for today. The first problem says if 1/5 times a plus 5 equals 21, what is the value of a? So the first thing you want to do is you want to get rid of this fraction. So you can type in 1 divided by 5 on your calculator and figure out what that is if you don't know. And it is equal to 0.2. So instead of 1/5 a, you can write 0.2a plus 5 equals 21. So now I want to separate the two sides of my equation, box in the variable and whatever's with it. And now I'm just going to do the opposite until I have isolated the variable. So when I read this, it says plus 5. So I'm going to do the opposite and subtract 5 from both sides. On this part, you want to type in what it says to make sure you get 0. So I can clear all this out, and I have 5 minus 5. And I got 0, so that's correct. So I can cross this off. And then on this side, I still have 0.2a equals 21 minus 5. So same thing. Once again, I can come over here and type in 21 minus 5, and I got 16. Next, this says 0.2 times a. So what we're going to do is divide by 0.2 on both sides. That cancels out. So now we have a equals 16 divided by 0.2, and the answer is 80. So you always want to check this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in a equals 80. And then I'm going to type in the problem. So the problem is I can type in the original 1 divided by 5 times a plus 5. And the answer I want up here says 21. And when I look at the calculator, I have 21. So I know I have the right answer. So the answer was B. All right, so number 2. So you read the problem. It says negative 12 equals 2/5 x plus 4. So I want to change this fraction into a decimal. So I type in 2 divided by 5. If I do not know what that is, or just to check, 0.4. So now I have negative 12 equals 0.4x plus 4. So we separate the sides of our equation, box in the variable and whatever's attached to it. And now we're just going to do the opposite. So the opposite of plus 4 is minus 4. So I always check that, because this is where you can mess up the entire thing. So I have positive 4, minus 4, and I have 0. So at that point, we can cross it off and then do the same thing on this side, minus 4. So negative 12 minus 4, you can type that in your calculator. I know that's negative 16 equals 0.4x. So now we're going to divide by 0.4 on both sides and see what we get as our answer. So we have negative 16 divided by 0.4, and the answer is negative 40. X equals negative 40. And once again, we're going to check it. So you shouldn't be hitting anything until you have checked all your work. So I think x equals negative 40. Now I'm going to come down and type in the actual problem. So the problem is a 2/5 x plus 4. And I should get negative 12. And that's what my calculator says. So that means we got the right answer. It's negative 40. All right, number 3. So 1/2 x plus 3 equals 7. Let's get rid of that fraction. So I know that's 0.5x plus 3 equals 7. So go ahead and separate your equation. Box in the variable. Now we're just going to do the opposite. The opposite of plus 3 is minus 3. So you should come over and check that on your calculator. Positive 3 minus 3 gives me 0, so I can cross it off. 7 minus 3 is 4. And now I have 0.5 times x. The opposite is divide by 0.5. And I have x equals 4 divided by, let's clear all that out. 4 divided by 0.5. And I get 8. So I want to check that. I think x equals 8. And then the math problem said 1/2 x plus 3. And the answer should have been 7 right here. And we got 7. So that means we got the right answer. All right, number 4. 4/5 c minus 1 equals -11. So I'm going to change this. 4/5, I know that that's 0.8, but you can type it in if you need. And now I'm going to separate my equation, box this in and leave it alone. And when I read this, it's -1 or -1. It doesn't matter. They mean the same thing. But the opposite of -1 is +1. So I'm going to type that in just like I see it. So I have -1 plus 1, and I get 0. So that means I get to cross this off. And whatever I do here, the +1, I do to the other side. So -11 plus 1, I know that that's -10. If you need to use your calculator, you can do so. Next, we have 0.8 times c, so I'm going to divide by 0.8. And I'm going to type that in and see what I got. So -10 divided by 0.8. And I got -12.5. So the problem is none of these answers match. But what I know for sure is that it's not -0.8. It's not -15. I have to see which one of these is equal to this number. So I have a calculator and I can use it. So let's convert this fraction. Let's get a new line. So I have 51 divided by 4, and it's 12.75. That's, well, actually it's negative. So that's not right, just because it's not the right number. So let's try -25. -25 divided by 2, and I get -12.5, so those match. So the answer is D. So now I want to actually check before I actually circle my answer. So I think C equals -12.5. So I'm going to type in the problem. So the problem, let me erase this, was 4/5 c minus 1. And I should get -11, and we did. So that means we got the right answer. So I hope that helps you guys.